Are you stuck in your chaotic modern world? Living your day-to-day life without the power of awareness and self-control? Truly, a joyful and meaningful life cannot be achieved when you are on autopilot. I understand, and we can help you get in control again and help you experience tangible freedom by guiding you to a live awakened life. This is Jose Reynoso, and you're listening to the Live Awakened podcast, where we nurture your mind, body, and spirit, helping you evolve and transform to your best version, from your inner being to your outer physical form. Live Awakened podcast is here to promote and develop happy, productive, and successful humans here in the present moment. May the force be with you.
Welcome to the Live Awakened podcast. Today we have a very special guest, Dr. Nick Berry. In addition to being a holistic pharmacist and botanical enthusiast, Dr. Nick spends much of his time and creative flow producing rare and exotic plant extracts, as well as developing new blends and botanical perfumes for his company, Essential Oil Wizardry. By supporting organic farming, sustainable practices, and artisanal extractors, farmers, and wildcrafters, he aims to inspire people to collectively elevate the world around us. And I think that's a very modest introduction. I think I could even add that you're somebody that you can really tell is following their flow, their gift, and is sharing the gift with the world through light vibration and beautiful perfumes and essential oils. Dr. Nick, welcome to today's podcast. I'm excited to have you. Welcome. Where are you tuning in from today?
I'm back at the lab in Ashland, Oregon.
I can't wait to go there one day. Like I love Ashland and Oregon, of course, but I can't wait to visit your lab one day. I can't even imagine like everything that is brewing in the kitchen.
It's quite special here, Huna.
Okay, so I was thinking, when was your first time? What was that special day that you got encountered with essential oils?
There's a very clear moment that I've spoken about in the past on various podcasts for me that really opened up the clarity of the potency of the oils for me. And in my final years of pharmacy school, I had gotten a respiratory infection that developed into pneumonia. And the first 2 years, I had used traditional pharmaceutical drugs to treat the pneumonia. And it had taken about 4 to 10 days to really see significant improvement from the pharmaceutical treatments that I was taking. On the third year in a row, in the winter time, I had again started coming into a respiratory infection. And I had this aha moment where I was laying in bed and I looked across the room and I saw my essential oil vaporizer, which is a device that you can breathe in essential oils, oftentimes heated up. You breathe it into the lungs, and the alveoli in the lungs act as a really quick absorption method to get the essential oils into the bloodstream. And I had this aha moment looking at a bottle of oregano heracleoticum. And oregano is high in carvacrol, which is a powerful phenol group, which is extremely antibacterial, antiviral. What I realized was, after looking at the literature over the previous months and realizing how powerful it is, and at this point, I was having difficulty breathing. And so with labored breath, I figured I would take a chance, knowing that oregano is extremely caustic and irritating. I also felt that it had the potential to kill what was ever growing in my lungs. And at that point, having as much of a challenge breathing as I was, I figured I would take that risk. And so utilizing oil of oregano with my essential vaporizer for several days really brought me back to about 70 to 80% back to my baseline within about 48 hours. Oh, wow. And that was a significant improvement and much better results compared to my previous years utilizing the pharmaceutical treatments. So that was my really clear aha moment that I was doing something very special with the oils by listening and communicating with them.
Wow. I always find it so interesting how like those situations when we're like almost like between life and death end up being the most awakened moments in our life, those moments that can catalyst such a beautiful journey as the one you've been on, because of that positive mindset, kind of like willing to go into the known, because you were studying traditional pharmacy and that's like, it goes against everything you were learning. You were actually following the path by taking meds and pharmaceuticals. But this call like awake, like listening to your intuition, plus let's put a disclaimer, also knowing what oregano does. You also have that understanding, chemical understanding blended together. And yeah, I got you to 70, 80% recovery. That's really good. Oregano still, it's so strong. I'm always so impressed how this essential oils, I come to understand it's almost like the soul of the plants.
Yes.
It's so potent. And like a small bottle, I'm just gonna brag. I obviously have my essential oil kit, and this is just one of many. This is like nectar of divine nature. And I'm always so impressed how you open them and it can trigger a 70 to 80% recovery from a life and death situation, like in your case.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's really quite a gift to learn and to listen to the messages that plants have to offer humanity.
And speaking of message and plants and humanity, what would you say it's your communication or like the message you're getting right now from plants, given the turmoil we're going? Like it seems like while you were going as not being able to breathe properly, like now it's happening worldwide. So is there any message that is coming strongly for everybody listening, given what we're going?
So the message that I'm receiving currently is the importance to connect with nature, to listen a little bit deeply, more deeply to our roots, and to know where our food comes from, and to put our hands into the soil and to reconnect with nature, because we are not a separate system from nature. We are a part of nature. And if nature continues to decline, our human species will continue to decline, as well as all other species on this planet. And so the lesson and embodiment that I'm really working on is learning to spend more time in my garden and to become a better steward of nature.
Wow. Yeah, that was... It's similar to what I've been receiving for the past months during like the bigger part of the lockdown. It was like have access to good food, a really good green smoothie, and be able to grow your things. And I was talking to a friend and he told me, Jose, my biggest learning throughout the pandemic is I've been able to grow my cucumber. And he was so proud. And it made me really realize like it's something we've lost. Now it's almost like you're like a biohacker, you know how to grow food, but it used to be part of her DNA. Why, Dr. Nick, do you think we lost this connection to our food supply, to nature, our roots?
Yeah, well, it seems like inherently in society, we've grown accustomed to a system of exchange. Being able to exchange time and energy for goods and services, utilizing money. And while I think that there's a lot of practicality utilizing a centralized source of exchange, I think it also presents its challenges. And by really learning to select, personally, we would go to the grocery market throughout my life to purchase our food. And, we would buy fruits, we would buy vegetables, we would buy frozen dinners and food that came in boxes and was not always the cleanest quality of food. And this is how I was raised. And so what my relationship to normal and to what food is was something that you buy from a store using money. And so I think that was my inherent learning. It was growing up and moving to Ashland, Oregon, just this past few years that has really gotten me closer to the land and to learn really the importance of growing our own food and becoming more sovereign in that regard. And in many other ways, I feel has really been amplified by the pandemic on this planet. And that is one of the gifts that has really been provided by these times is, the scare of potential for food shortage and the concern of lockdowns. How can we as individuals create additional security, both for ourselves, the people we love, and our local community? And so it was really last year that we started growing, we started activating our gardens here in Ashland. And we realized that growing food is both easy and challenging. And if we had to survive just with what we had started to grow last year, we wouldn't have done very well. Yet what we've started to do is, as a community, tap in with some of our elders and some of the individuals who are more seasoned gardens. In fact, it was just last weekend that we had a garden party. We invited various members from our community, maybe about 15, 20 people that came out to our home. We have about an acre of land, and we started tilling the soil and removing rocks and getting in really deep and setting a clear stage for a different part of our garden, which we're turning into a veggie garden for this season. And what was really beautiful about this, Huna, is that we invited, there were humans of all ages. We had maybe 4 or 5 children. There was about maybe 10 people in their 20s, 30s, and 40s. And we had some of our elders that were present. And so I believe as a tribal, in our tribal roots, people of all walks of life and all ages knew the importance of growing their own food and wild foraging and knowing how to really prepare food for our own nourishment. And so I think that there's a huge opportunity here for us to reconnect with nature and to learn how to put our hands into the soil and to dive back in and become part of that cycle rather than perceiving ourselves as separate from nature, but to really reintegrate and affirm the importance of living in harmony with the world around us.
It's beautiful, that perspective, because it's like same as you had that aha moment in one of your lowest moments health-wise. Right now as a collective, and that's happening right now with your community, these tensions, stress, and pressure of the global pandemic is bringing the opportunity to learn, to connect, and to remember our roots. So one way or another, we will always go back home. We'll remember our roots, but sometimes it's a little bit more painful. Sometimes it's easier. But I guess as humans have shown that we always like to take it to the limit, and then we decide to put our hands in the ground and remember. I know that you have a very interesting story about Burning Man. Would you like to share that with us?
Well, what I would share about my experience with Burning Man is it really was a helpful switch for me to turn on. And what I mean by that is it really represents this transitional life portal for me. Going from being a traditional atypical pharmacist that was working at a Eastern Western pharmacy, which integrated nutrition and natural supplements into the traditional pharmacy. And it also serves as a portal of me learning to step up into my power and really trust my journey, trust my path, follow my heart, and start listening to my intuition. And so Burning Man really empowered me with the experiences of learning how so many people lived in very different ways. And yet, even though it was atypical from the society that I knew and grew in, there were people that were wildly creative and successful in every sense of the concept. And it was very inspiring to me. And Burning Man really activated me and invited me to step into my flow and to be creative as a pharmacist. And it really served for me to be a portal because I was always fascinated by all types of medicines and drugs, anything that can help the human body and spirit. And around the time that I had graduated pharmacy school in 2009, cannabis, I found to be a very interesting therapeutic tool. And yet the laws and legislation around it were very daunting and didn't invite it to be recognized as a medicine widely. And my perception after Burning Man was, how does a pharmacist fit into the role to bring more legitimacy into this what is considered to be a scheduled drug? How can a pharmacist work with clients and patients to both educate them on which varietals or species might be most supportive for their particular disease state and purpose, while also creating more legitimacy in the industry? And so the synchronicities of Burning Man got me to reconnect with my friend Ray Highsmith, who was living in Berkeley at the time. And I went and I stayed in the Bay Area for several months after Burning Man, and re-meeting with Ray, who was starting a cannabis testing facility at the time, inspired me to really start to craft and create services that were targeted to help support cannabis clinics and specifically the patients that they served to create more legitimacy. I ended up developing my own career path, if you will, which really evolved because once I recognized how cannabis is really this powerful plant that expresses these bioactive cannabinoids and terpenes primarily, these my next cue was recognizing that all types of plants contain these types of bioactive terpene molecules, which are responsible for flavor and fragrance. And when I learned that the cannabis is really potentiated by these terpenes, I started experimenting with the world of essential oils. And so by following my heart and listening to my intuition and guidance and not settling for a pharmacy position that I was going to have very comfortable, easy, guaranteed pay, I decided to, I always knew that was available to me at any point, and that at my worst case scenario, I could go get a job somewhere. I felt a lot of inspiration and passion about the idea of utilizing my fascination for plants and medicine and drugs in a way that could minimize harm and maximize therapeutic potential in many lives. And so that journey of listening really connected me to dive deeper into the world of plants. And so that was the moment and the aha that brought me into the world of the oils, because the essential oils are concentrated in these plant terpenes. And it's these plant terpenes which have pharmacological activity inside of the human body. And so by following my throat flow and my heart, I was given the opportunity to be where I am today.
Wow. It's like the whole hero's journey, you know, going through the darkness and doubt and coming out shining and now glowing and showing your passion and light. I do see Burning Man. I never got to go to Burning Man. We were supposed to go last year, but inshallah, like they say, that we'll go whenever the time is right. I see Burning Man, or I've been to other festivals, as almost like a modern day rite of passage. You know, like this collective sand dance. It's like a sand dance from the Lakota people. You know, it's like this sand dance that we get together and we awaken the divine potential. Kind of like we mature into who we are meant to be and leave behind who we were, which is like playing small. And yeah, Burning Man, I have not been there, but I could imagine that there's, as you said, so many people following their bliss and making a lot of abundance in all ways, money, love, and creating well-being around them through being themselves. And it kind of like, it's like a perfect scenario for humans to really be themselves and stop playing a role that is not theirs. But something that really inspired me from your story is how you started to listen. And even though the rational mind was going and like, no, like follow the path that you studied and you've invested and all this, but hey, have fun, you know, just go for it. It was like a massive step into the unknown. Is there any tip, suggestion that you can give to the listeners or people watching this video? How could they tap into that inner listener? Like to not listen to the voices of our parents, society, media, how to listen to that voice that you, Dr. Nick, you were able to listen to, find yourself in the Bay a few months after just going to Burning Man?
Yeah. Well, at the time, I recall a friend, Greg Etherton, had shared with me something that I found to be really helpful. And he was describing life of following your intuition and living life in the flow, if you will, as being swept up in the current of life. And what he informed me was that if everyone's holding on to the side of a riverbank where it's safe, if you were to push yourself off of the riverbank and start flowing in a certain direction with the current, well, can't you just swim back to the riverbank if things get a little bit wild and crazy? And I would say in some ways that mitigated a level of risk for my cognitive mind, because I realized that I could go on this journey of exploration. And the worst thing that could happen is it wouldn't work. I would fail miserably. And I would, maybe my ego would be very embarrassed and I could go get a job as a pharmacist. That's not really a horrible situation, all in all. For me, it was, there's unlimited potential and opportunity. And so I chose to take that risk and see where I ended up. And, you know, my truth for that scenario is right when my savings account ran out of money so that I couldn't pay my bills in full was the first month that I got a nice size check for my first dispensary client. And so it was that listening and that trusting and really pushing through any of the stories in my head and the judgments of people in my life that maybe didn't see my perspective. I recognized that I was able to take risks and that the worst thing that could happen wasn't actually that bad. And so that was something that was helpful for me, was knowing that I could swim from the current of the flow of life back to my stable shoreline, and I would be safe there. And that was always available to me.
Wow. Yeah, I really like that image of seeing the river and holding on, and you can let go, but you can always swim back to the shore. Sometimes when I'm seeing friends go through this journey of holding on like for their dear lives, like both hands harness on to that job or to that partner that it's becoming toxic, work, relationship, whatever. And I'm always like, it's always gonna be there. Just like as you said, let go. And it's almost like when it's related with money, it's one of those primary needs from human beings, money, like shelter, but that is paid through money. So money, I always tell them, what makes you think that you can make money being unhappy, doing something you don't like, doing something that you have to wake in the morning and hate what's coming up through the day? That if you follow your bliss and you decide to do what makes you happy, what makes you think that you won't be able to sustain yourself and make money? And of course, there's been moments that your bank account will get to zero, but that's even part of like the beta testing. It's like, are you sure you're ready for this? Are you sure? Snap, big check, it comes. And that's definitely the power of manifestation. And can you share with me how essential oils can support us in this journey of manifestation? Because I'll give you my own experience. For example, I have purity here. Just I use it a lot in ceremony, but I also do when I want to go into manifestation mode, which we are always manifesting. Our thoughts are becoming vibration and whatnot. But when I want to like write it down, how can essential oils support us in clearing the space? Because they can heal your lungs, but they can also do something beyond the physical realm, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, so essential oils really have many applications, and that can span from physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual/energetic qualities. And so, my conversation can kind of span from a more grounded physical expression to also an esoteric, energetic perspective. And really what I'm hearing is there's an opportunity that these oils can really support us in clearing maybe the cloudiness around our auric field, and to help to hone our intentions and our expressions into physical reality. And so each essential oil really contains its own botanical expression that is designed perfectly by nature, that really expresses its own unique functions on both the physical all the way to the spiritual planes. So an example of something that I work with for manifestation or for expression and creation would be an example of our prosperity oil. So prosperity oil is a combination of royal Hawaiian sandalwood, cistit, vetiver, spikenard, sweet marjoram, and red mandarin. It was crafted for a friend, Amelia, who was about to travel to Peru for her first time. And the codes that were coming in, as this was a custom formulation for her, was to support her during her first journey traveling internationally by herself, which was bringing up a level of question for her. And so she wanted something that would help to alleviate fear, support her grounding, and also to amplify her voice and her expression, to be this energetic protective bubble for her. And so the formula prosperity, what I've noticed over the, past 7 years of it being in existence, is that it's really powerful for speaking your truth and also the clarity of one's path. What I describe is it's an inner knowing, not of the mind, but of the gut, and it helps facilitate taking action. So the way that I enjoy working with prosperity is to take a few drops into the hands, rub the hands over in front of the throat and in front of the stomach, and then directly on the throat and then on the stomach. So kind of the solar plexus region and the throat region. What I find is that I feel inherently more confident about expressing my clear truth. And so something like this, when I use prosperity, I feel more grounded. It's like a deeper connection to the earth. Royal Hawaiian sandalwood specifically and spikenard are very embodied. But there's also this layer, the cistus. Cistus is a really potent extract, especially energetically. It clears negative energy, like in such a profound way. And so by rubbing it around the body, you can clear up some of the denser or negative energy or thought forms so that you're feeling more grounded. There's less holding you back. And the brightness of the red mandarin and the relaxation qualities of the sweet marjoram and the vetiver, which is also very grounding and embodied. So this is the way that the plants love to play. They all carry their own vibration and their own essence. And, the essential oils themselves are much more powerful with intent and the knowingness and the relationship with them. So by knowing a targeted formulation such as prosperity can be used for manifestation, and willing that intent, and then understanding what the synergy of oils really calls in and provides for the user. So deeper level of grounding, clearing negative energy, and an upliftment of mood. Knowing how to apply them around the throat and around the stomach could also be just generally applied around the field as well. So having that relationship with them and then receiving a positive feedback loop about setting the space to set an intention for manifestation, and then feeling that. So with prosperity, as I expressed, it supports taking action. It's like there's less negative in the way. And so taking those actions provides a positive feedback loop. So having an understanding and a relationship of the individual oils and or the collective essential oil blend can really support so many areas of one's life.
Wow. Yeah, like I use prosperity actually, like it's back there, and that's where I sleep. So it's always it's like my way to go into like a beautiful dream zone. I put it on, I'm like, okay, let's go fly high. The intention, as you said, but like, the first time I came across with your essential oils, and I think I mentioned this on our first call, we were in the house of a friend down by Dominical nearby in Costa Rica, and we were like playing music, and there was just this essential bottle like they're lying down. I think it was even your old labels, like white labels. and I open it, and to my surprise, frankincense. Frankincense is one of my favorite. Like I could have a bath in frankincense. It's just like I can't get enough. And I smelled it, and I was like, wow. I'm not gonna say names to like big names of the essential oil world. Like the average big names. I thought that was really good quality. I opened this one, and it was like, I don't know if you watched I'm sure you watched the movie Perfume. So I opened the bottle. So I opened the bottle, and it was like a whole world of explosion. I've never experienced that. It was like almost opening the bottle of Aladdin and having this whole trip while completely sober. I was not on anything. So I smelled that, and I'm like, where is this coming from? Like, what is this? And I saw essential oil wizardry, and I'm like, I need to meet this guy. It sounds like he knows what he's doing. And now you explaining this, it's all about intention. Like we can get two producers getting the same frankincense, but it's the intention of what is the purpose. Is it to make profit, or is it to empower and support people? Hey, and also you're making revenue and profit to keep empowering others on the road. So could you share a little bit about essential oil wizardry? Like what's the vision? Why is this beautiful offering in the world happening?
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity. So essential oil wizardry was really born from a passion for helping people and a fascination by compounds, drugs, plants, all types of different therapeutic agents on the human body. And so the synergy of being able to support others and a fascination by the human physiology and how it relates to medicine that we can take, the journey was really amplified with my own healing experience by treating the respiratory infection with the oil of oregano, utilizing a vaporizer device. And it was a journey that just kept getting more unique, where opportunities came to me to speak at festivals and events, or to participate with a retreat or a healing ceremony. And I continued to develop hundreds of different essential oil perfumes, therapeutic blends, ceremonial blends, different essential oil tinctures. Just a few years ago, we were gifted some extraction technology utilizing ultrasonic technology. So to really bring a new and novel extraction process into formulating individual plant tinctures. And so it's been an organic growth curve that I started Essential Oil Wizardry on paper in 2014, and started playing with the oils around winter of 2011. And that was the time that I had the respiratory infection. And it's been an organic experience of just being invited to different events to participate, sharing my oils, sharing the knowledge that I'm acquiring, receiving feedback in real time, and learning from my appropriate recommendations and my mistakes, and receiving feedback, and then going back into the lab and creating. Something that was very helpful for me was my gift of meeting one of my primary mentors in this phase of my life. I would say two mentors have really supported me in becoming to who I am as an essential oil wizard. The first is John Steele, and he was my first supplier into the world of essential oils. So he provided a clear gateway to having superior quality essential oil products. So I knew what I wanted to have as my baseline, which is the best ever. And by utilizing his oils initially, I knew what I was striving for to create for my company. And so Will LaPaz came into my life. He goes by Ravi Das. He was one of the, he wasn't the original founder, but he owned and operated Eden Botanicals for over a decade. And he really took it from a amber and synthetic, I think he was working with amber, and I think there were also some synthetic fragrances. Don't quote me on that, because I know he shifted it into something that was essential oil focused, and he was very successful with it, and he sold it. And I met him shortly after he sold Eden Botanicals, and he and I became very good friends. And Will invited me to come live at his house in Hawaii. This was shortly after he sold his company, and he said, hey man, maybe we could partner on a project or two, and we'll have a great time. You should just come over to my house and blend. And I said, when should I do that, Ravi? He said, well, I'm going back next week. You should come as soon as you can and stay as long as you're able to. So I was like, okay. So I enjoyed about 3 or 4 months of a real dedicated focus, and having a mentor in my life who taught me the basics on how to create a sustainable essential oil business from the business model perspective, and also connecting me with sources that he had been working with for decades so that there was a deeper level of inherent trust for both parties, really was the starting basis for the company. My own creative intentions and expressions to always personally evolved has been instrumental in the development and expansion for our company. And so as a baseline for utilizing all of those amazing sources for pure, wildcrafted, organic essential oils and CO2 extracts, that was just where I wanted to begin. I wanted to start with the best and make it better. And so ever since about 2014, I've been playing with lots of different technologies, different tools. Let me see. I have a few that I can show you, for instance, right now. This is a newer device. This is called the OmniCard, and it's marketed as an EMF protecting device that helps to structure water molecules. But what's more fascinating about it to me is not only is it energizing for food and water, but it has a profound effect on the oils. And so this is one of our newest devices that we've integrated into energizing our oils. I think this was added in as part of our processes in 2020. And so another tool is, can you see this plate?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Do you recognize this?
1 second, I'm just going to put a speaker view.
It's perfect if you don't. This is a biogeometry clearing plate. And so it's from Dr. Ibrahim Karim's research. And this is a very powerful device for clearing the energy. And so, when something is shipped to me, oftentimes it's shipped in aluminum and or pharmaceutical grade plastic. And that is the industry standard to survive over an international shipment. So one of the first things I do is I pour it into glass, and I have a whole system and protocol which continues to evolve. So the goal is for our oils literally to continue getting better and better and better with time. And so, biogeometry is an inherent tool that we use to charge.
What other uses could somebody use that device?
Cool. So let me show you. So the material is plastic, so it doesn't hold an energetic charge. It's just able to clear. And so you can clear your all type of jewelry so that it doesn't hold on to any energy that may get stagnant upon it. And so literally just it's suggested to put on your jewelry for about 1 minute per day to clear the energy. Some of his other technology is designed to help with the electromagnetic fields in the environment. And so he suggests to take this device. This is just a clearing tray. You put on the room cubes, which really help to amplify, clear, and kind of bind to some of the negative energies. You place it onto this for 1 to 20 minutes, and it resets it. And so, the gift of having and operating this company is that it has invited me to continue to improve myself. And in the processes, for instance, now that we're extracting our own medicinal herbs, and we're really extracting some unique plants. I mean, we've done Salvia divinorum, which is a sacred plant medicine from Mexico, and it's one of the most beautiful medicines for meditation. It's not psychedelic as one would might perceive or believe. One of my favorite things to go on a hike with. We've done Tongkat Ali, which is it's a really powerful root that grows out in Indonesia that is very healthful and strengthening. It's a powerful Jing tonic herb, and it's amazing the amount of creativity and botanical expression that we're able to harvest and to share with so many people.
Wow. Yeah. There's like so many little nuggets you've shared. I'll keep saying intention. That's like at the back end of everything. What's the intention? You know, so like again, profit is just to evolve and support others in their path of evolution. And I really like how you said you set up like a baseline, a standard. You know, I'm not just gonna make oils or sell oils. I'm gonna have the best, at least that your awareness is able to grasp. And you've been, I'm not going to say lucky, you've just been in flow enough that you've been able to tap to really good resources and providers of essential oils, and also learning from your mentors. I think that's also something very key for anybody pursuing whatever endeavor, business. Find somebody that has been there that can teach you the ropes, either business-wise or in the actual product development. It's good to shadow somebody and to learn and to grow. Is like a mastermind. But I think that's one of the things that without rational knowledge, I felt with your essential oils. It was you open the bottle, you feel the love, the packaging. Going to your website, I recommend anybody going to the website. We'll put the links below. You take your time to put a video explaining, not in all, but I know many do, video explaining where you got the inspiration, and you just guided us a few moments ago of your creation process. Okay, I have this client that wants to go, well, is going to Peru, and she wants to feel grounded, open her mouth. So really, like the name Wizardry is not just branding or marketing. It's really like getting wizardry in essential oils. It's really putting your passion and intention and your spark in every single bottle. And I think that's something that we are calling a lot as a collective, to go out of the norm, to go out of like the big corporations that are doing everything in mass production. As you said, you've been able to evolve and be where you are because you get constant feedback from people. Big companies are not able to take the feedback of the users because they're just focused in numbers and sales and regions and whatnot. So you're able to be like, hey, we have to adjust that, and you're open to that suggestion, obviously, from people that can provide those suggestions or feedback. But it's amazing to see where you are now, because as you say, you started after working with a dispensary, and then opened the doors to essential oils, Hawaii and whatnot. And now you're using pioneer technology. I do have some, I think I have CO2 extracted frankincense, but I'm ignorant in what makes it different from a regular extraction. And then we will go with ultrasonic. But first I want to know like CO2, what, because it's not just names out there. There's really technology that amplifies certain properties. It's not that it's better, it just takes some other things into the spectrum.
Yeah, great awareness with all of that. So the, in extracting plants, there's so many different methodologies. There's solvent extracted, there's a steam distillation, there is alcohol extracts, and then as you touched on, ultrasonic extracts. So just focusing on steam distillation and CO2 extraction initially. Steam distillation utilizes water as a solvent, and you're heating water, and you're in a closed system, and you're steaming the water. The hot water molecules will pass through the plant material, and the plant material will release the aromatic compounds and the terpenes. And in this closed system, as the steam runs through, it collects the aromatic molecules, and it's going to leave the heated location, and it's going to pass through a condenser that has very cold water passing through.
Would this be like your traditional copper distiller, like the ones?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
it could be copper or it could be glass. Those are two of the very popular ways for distillation.
Mhm.
And then you're going to have a collecting flask in the end. And so as the steam cools, the aqueous phase and the oil phase, or the water and the oil, essential oil, are going to separate because they're different, contain different lipophilicities. The oil and the water repel each other. And so this is the oil phase is the traditional essential oil that most people are used to. And so we're utilizing heat in this extraction method, which can damage some of the delicate aromatic compounds. And what I notice on an energetic level is steam distillation really carries kind of an etheric, energetic type of quality. So when you think about it on a microscopic level, it's almost this mystical expression of the steam rising through the plants, and it's rising and elevating. And then it goes to the heavens, and then it starts cooling down and falling into the collecting flask where it cools and separates. And so it's lighter and more etheric is almost how I would describe it compared to something like a CO2 extract. So a CO2 extract is a carbon dioxide extraction machine process that utilizes carbon dioxide as a solvent, and it's really great at removing nonpolar compounds in an efficient way. And you utilize you change the temperatures, and you greatly increase the pressures. And you take this CO2 gas and you pressurize it into a liquid, and you run it through the plant material. And this high pressure will remove the lipids, the waxes, the aromatic materials, and from the plant material. And it will do this process typically for many hours. I have not operated a CO2 extraction machine yet. And what I've noticed is that it produces a very full spectrum extract. One of our major CO2 extractor suppliers really has expressed that it's about twice as potent from a therapeutic perspective. Is kind of the expression of a CO2 extract compared to a traditional steam distilled essential oil. Now, I notice oftentimes CO2 extracts almost have several different layers when I'm receiving them into my nostrils, whereas the essential oils oftentimes are very light and etheric. And so I notice more of a character for a CO2 extract compared to a steam distillation. Now, this is a generality that I'm speaking, and I personally use steam distillation, steam distilled oils, and CO2 extracts. And I'm not claiming that one is necessarily better than the other. I think that every extract really carries its own energy, its intelligence, and its vibration. And so when I'm designing formulations, I might select to use a CO2 extract because it pops more aromatically for one plant, but I might select a steam distillation because it really captures a certain spectrum of aromatic quality for another. And so it's really about getting to know each plant, getting to know each plant extraction type, and really honing into the intention of what we're looking to develop.
Wow. Okay, now we go with the quantum step in essential oils, ultrasonic extractions. When I saw that, I'm like, wow, I don't know what it is, but it sounds definitely fancy and it sounds galactic.
Yeah. So ultrasonic extractions are utilizing sound vibration to extract the aromatic constituents and the therapeutic components from the plant material, and it does so very quickly, and it does so very effectively. And what do I mean by effectively? I mean it does a great job of pulling the different therapeutic components out of the plant material. And so, if you're doing a traditional tincture, for instance, where you're setting the plant material in alcohol, it may take 4 to 6 weeks for the energy to really not only the energy, but also the therapeutic constituents to really enter into the alcohol in a deeper and more profound way. With the ultrasonic extraction process, we can really receive, I haven't looked at the actual extraction of total compounds extracted, but I would say you can do at least 85-90% pulling out that within about 30 to 60 minutes using ultrasonic extraction. And not only that, but there's an effect. So sonification is oftentimes used in many CBD companies as the process to help enhance bioavailability for CBD products, or to support micronization of the material found inside the product. And so what we do is we utilize water as a solvent, so we're not using alcohol, and we are putting the plant material into the water. We use the ultrasonic process which literally vibrates and shakes the plant material in the water. And then we're left with a tea. We filter that tea out and remove all the plant material. And it's similar to alchemy, where what we do is we remove all the liquid until we're left with an extract. Mm-hmm. And then we reintroduce a portion of the hydrosol, right? Which is it's the water which has lots of the water-soluble terpenes, so it smells like the plant material. So we're extracting individual parts, and then we recombine it at the end to produce our final ultrasonic tincture product. Now,
what will be the time from beginning to end in the ultrasonic tincture process? Yeah.
So we have the extraction where we get the tea, as I call it, and then we vacuum filter and remove all the plant material from our tea, and then what we do is we put it through a rotary evaporator. And so what we're doing is we're removing the liquid from the extract, so that we're just left with a final extract. And the liquid is essentially a hydrosol. And using this technology, we're able to vacuum, we're able to distill using extremely low temperatures. I'm talking about 100, 105 degrees, so considered raw temperatures. And so from one expression, we're using very low temperatures. And what I've noticed is that the intelligence of the plant is left intact in a different and unique way compared to a process such as steam distillation, which you're using such a higher temperature to actually heat the water, which can damage some of the intelligence and the delicate aromatic molecules. And so using vacuum filtration and vacuum distillation, we then remove the aqueous solution, and then we have our extract and we have our liquid. So you can almost look at this from an alchemical perspective as the soul or the sulfur and the liquid or the mercury. Now, if we wanted to take this to another level, which is our intention, we would add the plant salts back into our final formulation.
Like spagyrics will be like a spagyrics kind of thing?
Precisely. And so so what I need to do is I need to refine and relearn about the cell salt purification and reintroduce those into our final products. So that's something I'm also looking forward to up-leveling for.
Well, just hearing you explain this, it gets me excited. Like, I wish you had been like my chemistry teacher, and like, guys, they were gonna get spagyrics or the soul of a mimosa or whatever. Wow, it sounds. This is when I'm so grateful for technology, right? Because you can heat the steel, or you can do CO2. For me, sounds a little bit like strong, very like masculine way of extracting. The other one is again like a mixture of like earthy fire. This last one feels like so on point to galactic. Like ultrasound, suave, 30, 40 minutes, hydrosol, very feminine. Amazing. But you're also making perfumes. Will you mind sharing with us briefly like about the perfumes that you're making?
Yeah. So, producing our botanical perfumes are a lot of fun. And so what we do is we produce both true perfumes infused in organic craft spirit alcohols. And we also create what we call botanical perfumes, and we infuse them in fractionated coconut oil and enhanced with ormus to really help it.
True perfumes and botanical perfumes.
Yeah. We call our true perfumes our exquisite botanical perfumes. And so what we do is I craft different blends, which often come from different intentions or themes. So for instance, we crafted Deep Man and Deep Woman. And so Deep Man is this smoky campfire essence of walking out of a forest for the first time after 3 months, just like you've been telling story around a campfire and are fresh out of the woods. Where Deep Woman is this deeply mature, effervescent, bright, slightly citrusy, earthy notes. And what's beautiful is setting the intention for what I want to craft. Like our Carnation Dreams was simply a challenge blend on how can I craft something beautiful and elegant using carnation as one of the ingredients. And so sometimes it's for a specific person. Sometimes it's to create a certain type of theme, like a forest-based. And other times it is, it's really just to capture a certain note and to see what happens. So it's a really wonderful and exciting way for me to be artistic, to create a piece of living art that oftentimes not only has its own in the moment invitation of sensuality, play, uplifting of mood, but oftentimes can be emotionally therapeutic and be exactly supportive for a person on their path.
I love the description of living art. It's like your way of being creative, which I mean, making essentials already sounds super creative. I like just your thought process of how you get there, but this is like even like a more refined, like subtle, dainty way of sharing your art. It's beautiful. I haven't tried them, but I'm sure I'll get opportunity soon. I noticed also that you have a tribe, because you're not, the intention behind it's not only sharing essential oils or making or generating revenue, but it's also empowering individuals. So could you share with us what is the Alchemy Tribe community?
Yeah, well, The Alchemy Tribe community is our membership program that invites people to explore some of our more rare and exotic and smaller batch extractions. Typically, our newer blends and formulations will be sent out to our Alchemy Tribe members before they're actually available to the public through our website. And every month we have 3 different tiers. And we also have a yearly membership for people that are excited about the overall vision, want to dive deeper into some of our online for members only content, and want to have access to our small scale ultrasonic extract products, which can include items like Kana or our Salvia divinorum in the past, and lots of our experimental extracts. So the 3 tiers offer a collection of 1, 3, or 4 items every month. And so our basic tier includes a Wizard Alchemy blend each month. And so that's probably our most popular type of product through essential oil wizardry, which is pretty similar in terms of its the pure essential oil product popularity, but it's completely novel and unique to our company because they're essential oil blends which are blended by me. And all the essential oil blends are vibrationally enhanced using a set of 432 Hz crystal bowls. We use the Biogeometry. We use the water structuring cards that I was talking about, the Omni cards. We amplify them with all different types of frequencies and different geometric structures that actually have a notable effect before and after. So our Wizard Alchemy blends are sheer magic, and many of them are potentiated with Ormus. And Ormus is orbitally rearranged monoatomic elements. And in short, it really helps to amplify both the potency and the signal of the effects of the blend. And that could be aromatically and or therapeutically. Mm-hmm. So just a quick note on that Ormus. The second tier includes a pure essential oil blend and also an essential oil and or ultrasonic tincture. And so for people that are interested in exploring our tincture line, it's a great option for people to experiment with our latest ultrasonic tinctures. The pure essential oils are oftentimes novel and unique or uncommon essential oils for our community and audience as well. So the final tier also includes one of our exquisite botanical perfumes. And, as I shared, there's many different themes and inspirations behind the perfumes. And so one of the greatest gifts is that the Alchemy Tribe really invites me to stay on the edge, keep creating, be inspired to develop new, exciting things that maybe on the flip side of things, some of these might go outside the box of something that's stereotypical, like our Violet Chill or Invigor formulation, which have a lot more regular therapeutic aspects. I think last month our Wizard Alchemy blend was Sacred Ritual, for instance.
My favorite. That's my favorite. My all-time favorite. My mom loved it so much that I gifted her half of my bottle. So now I'm like having a FOMO of Sacred Ritual.
We can change that soon, brother. So the Alchemy Tribe inspires me to be creative, and it empowers our community to explore different types of formulations that they might not necessarily think they want. And it invites us to all be on the creative edge and to explore newness and to really uncover parts within ourselves that's expressed through this aromatic art. And one thing that's fun is oftentimes the Alchemy Tribe, the calendar for the year is usually presented to me around December of the previous year. And I sit in meditation and I just get downloads of what the next year is going to look like. And, sometimes the answer is new essential oil, or new exquisite botanical perfume, or new ultrasonic extract tincture. And it just comes into me. And what's fascinating is I receive a lot of feedback that, how did you know this is the perfect thing at the perfect time? And I have no idea. It's listening, and it's being connected with my art and craft. And another piece of feedback that we've received is that it really inspires our members not only to dive deeper into the world of essential oils, or to learn more alongside of our content, and to explore more of what the plant kingdom and queendom offer, but it also invites them to start blending. You see, after some months, the collection starts growing, and people will say, hey, I want to combine some rhododendron and some Moroccan cedar atlas on my wrist and see what happens. Oh my God, I love that smell. Oh, but it would go so nicely with a little bit of flower. I don't know whether it wants to be jasmine or rose, maybe some blue lotus. And so the process of starting to accumulate and learn and start reading about the individual products or blends really invites the opportunity for people to get creative on how to use them, how to share them, how to combine them. And what we've received is that some of our friends that become Alchemy Tribe members have started their own businesses that offer everything from edible chocolates that are empowered by essential oils to kombucha. We got Blessed Booch in California that uses really bright flavors, and Whalebird kombucha that empowers their kombucha with essential oils. And
wow.
It's just it's pretty humbling to witness people's growth from a distance, and to look back 5 years and to recall that they had started some inspiration in their alchemy alongside of me.
Wow. It sounds like you're giving them, or they're choosing to be part of a glimpse of Dr. Nick's essential oil world, and now like it's in their hands. And what do you want to do with it? Just look at them, or do you want to play or make even your kombucha or whatnot? It's exciting. What is your most rare essential oil? Like one that like you probably can't get anywhere else, or it's just like super rare?
Mm-hmm. Wow, I can answer this all day. So we have close to 400 products. I'll start off by saying that. And when I hear what's my most rare product, another question that comes up is not only are we referring to rarity, like uncommon on the essential oil market, or are we talking about actual scarcity in nature, or are we talking about cost? So
I would say in the market, like what's not available, not scarcity, because I want to touch upon like how you source them locally and like or like sustainably, but on the market, what it's hard to find.
Sure. So something that is uncommon that we offer, I mentioned our rhododendron leaf. I don't know many companies that offer rhododendron. Blue lotus is one that is uncommon, and you can find it a few different places. We offer both Thai and Sri Lankan blue lotus absolute. That's really beautiful. I would say our oud, also known as agarwood, is also one of the most rare and difficult to find. And gosh, there's so many.
There's so many, yeah. I do have rhododendron, and it's a trip because you open it and it smells a little bit very intense, but then once you put it in your skin and you let the air particles, everything mix, it's magical.
May I share something about rhododendron with you, brother?
Yeah, please, for sure.
So one thing I've noticed about rhododendron is the energetic quality of it is for clearing. It's somewhat similar energetically to our psychic protection formula, I would say, and almost complementary to the clearing energies of galbanum and or cistus. And rhododendron, what I find is I find it to be very grounding, but also very cleansing. So how I like to work with it is putting a few drops into the bottom of my feet and then putting it on my hands and then rubbing it around my auric field, around my body, and then on my body. And I find that it helps to cleanse the energies and also really deeper embodiment of myself.
Wow, I'll definitely try that. It's beautiful to hear you explain how you use the essential oils, because to be honest, I've been like using them, like I rub them in my hands, in my chest, in my neck. But yeah, I like you're inspiring me to be a little bit more playful, like play around with my body and see how it affects my auric field, the air, whatnot. So before we finish, it's 2:22 where I am, so it's just in time. I could go on for hours because you have 400 products, and we could dive deep into 400 products because each one is so particular. Each blend is it's so beautiful. I got hooked, my whole family, on your essential oils. I gave my grandma some of your lavender, but like, guess what? I don't only have one. I have 4 types of lavender. Which one? And she couldn't, and she rubbed it, and she was like, it just took her to France or whatever. So definitely there's a lot to share there, but I highly recommend anybody go to the website, Dr. Nick, essentialoilwizardry.com, and you will find videos explaining and the story, where it's really nice that you say where you source it, that everything is sourced from like small farmers, ethically sourced, and you do say if it's like endangered species, maybe it's not available, maybe there's just a very small amount to not put that species more endangered. But something that really has stayed with me, stuck with me through the session today, is how you decide to follow your heart and to listen. So what would you say anybody that's right now struggling in a way, they're seeing that even the rock they were hanging on because it was so solid, good paying job, very well looked in society, even that is crumbling. What would you say to those people that are going through that turmoil? How could they tap into that frequency of following their heart's message?
So I'm tuning into that in this moment. And what's coming through is nothing is inherently bad or good. Everything can be viewed from any perception that we create. And so if something is not aligning or doesn't feel right, or we're wanting to create new and or change in our life, we can look at a crumbling job or being fired as a curse, and we can be very angry about it. And so that is our response to that stimulus. We can also look at being laid off from a job that we didn't appreciate or maybe we loved. We can also look at it as an opportunity. And so in these opportunities that arise, there is the chance for fear. Fear and anxiety, or I should say anxiety and excitement vibrationally can be very similar. And so if we have a deep level of faith and trust and a deeper intelligence and a wiser intelligence, and maybe we don't see it, we don't know how to connect to it. We can trust ourselves. We can say, okay, I don't know where the next step is going to be, but I'm going to start walking. And if we follow a path from our heart, so feel into what brings us joy, maybe close our eyes and sit and meditate and consider what would life be like if we could just step into the thing that brings us the most joy to support. It could be one, it could be tens, it could be hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands. Every person has an innate gift and or many innate gifts that they can share on whatever level that they want to with the gift of technology. And so how can we tap into something that brings us a lot of joy that we would love to share with other people to create more value for them, which could improve the quality of their life? It could save them money. It could just put a sparkle of joy onto their day. So if we tap into that inner joy and we look at these challenges as opportunities and we have faith and we share freely, one thing for me is I shared my gifts freely without expectation from a donation kind of standpoint as I was transitioning into my work with essential oils. And what I learned from that was experience. And I developed a deeper level of inner knowing and building intuition. So my skill enhanced. And so that was a value added for me from all the people that were generous enough to trust me to learn. And so having that faith and knowing that it could take a few days, a few weeks, a few months, a few years. But if we follow our heart, we will follow that inner guidance that leads us to our destination, and we'll have the best time along the way.
Wow, I got goosebumps right now. Like, wow, yeah. Follow your heart, and really, you can't lose if you're following your heart. It's a win-win, creating value. Yeah, I think. I'm so grateful for this conversation, and I will sprinkle some essential oils on the journey of following your heart. It will definitely make everything smell a little bit better, connect a little bit better, ground a little bit better, elevate yourself a little bit better. I truly believe that essential oils is like that super first aid kit that we all have the opportunity to access. It's small, traveling a lot. Like more before than now. I used to travel all the time in airplanes and whatnot, doing retreats. These little bottles in my pocket have been anywhere. And I mentioned to you, and I want to share with everybody watching, I took them to the Great Pyramid of Giza, and we were meditating. We put them in the center, and we're like, we know they're pretty charged. We know they come from being charged with a water particle alignment tool and all your little gadgets. But then we put them in the pyramid, and we know that everything is charged, you know. So some people might think this is hocus pocus. Some people think that it's just adults playing with toys, but don't let anybody tell you the power of essential oils. You gotta try them. And honestly, for me, it's been a game changer to try essential oil. Wizardry, it's you feel the love, you feel the intention, you feel the connection, you feel the purpose, the amplification of my own gifts. And I'm deeply grateful for you, Dr. Nick, for listening to your heart, because we might not be having this conversation. You could perfectly be in the pharmaceutical industry, in your lab with your white robe doing medicals, but you decided to listen, to let go of the rock and realize that actually there was a big puffy cloud taking you in the most beautiful journey. And it seems that just getting started with all this new technology, your tribe that elevates you to keep creating and being creative. That being said, I'm so grateful, Dr. Nick, and can't wait to see what other products come out of your lab, of your temple.
Oh, well, thank you, Huna. It's been such a pleasure and an honor to share with your audience today. And as I had mentioned earlier, there was something you had shared that really triggered something for me to share. And in the modern day, I perceive that connecting with the essential oils can be a way that living in a city or a highly urban area where we have less physical areas that are closer to nature, or have a bunch of trees and plants growing, we really can connect with nature by opening up a bottle and smelling and breathing in the potency of fresh basil growing, or an amazing sparkle of peppermint, and a softness of rose geranium. And so in the modern day, these oils can be a way of connecting during a busy work day at the office or a stressful time, to take some moments and relax and connect with nature. The other thing that I wanted to mention is that I'm also happy to gift your listeners 10% off. And so I'll let you choose the coupon code for that. And I'm really excited to continue to grow and expand with everyone.
Oh, thank you so much, Dr. Nick. Upon what you just said about opening and being able to access the infinite forest or the sacred wood from Far East or Middle East, when I've been traveling now lately with in the airports with a mask and everything, I just take my bottle, I open it, and it doesn't matter anything that's happening around, I can connect to Earth. So it's a way, like there's no excuse to feel doomed or to feel trapped. In any moment, you have little tools and resources that you can open. And for anybody listening, as Dr. Nick mentioned, by typing in Live Awaken as your checkout coupon, you will get 10% off of the best essential oils I've been able to get my hands on. And you know that this is not a paid ad. I share this because I love the intention, the message, the purpose, and the quality of these oils. Blessings, Dr. Nick. I'm looking forward to seeing your creations, and thank you, anyone listening.
Thank you so much.